This week, the sky brings us right into the heart of spooky season. Season of the Witch serves up an extra dose of cosmic, celestial, and ancestral support to shed some old skin and to really jump into the timeline that we have been working on embodying. Who is with me? Who's excited?
Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, MADI Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in.
I'm your girl, MADI Murphy, your high vibe hype woman, your cosmic consultant. How the hell are we doing? There is so much going on. I know here at the time of this recording, we are 1 week out from the elections. If you're here in the USA, I already voted early, and I encourage you, if you can do so, why the hell not? I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know from the astrology, it's going to be a hectic, chaotic few weeks here in terms of the news cycles. So just reminders to tend to your nervous system. And besides that, Scorpio season is always a season of like big change for me. It's a fixed sign, yes, but it's like Scorpio, we're going in, we're shedding, we're having different ahas. And I always find that last year, obviously, the biggest example was I became a mother. But I was looking back at my photos from the past few years through this new app I've been using. And I'm like, wow, every Scorpio season, major transformation from the inside out. So what's going on with you? Like, let me know. Slide in our DMs, the Cosmic RX. Hit me up. I have to catch up on my personal DMs, but I am like curious. I think that this is just a massive season. And yeah, for a lot of you have been asking about my book, and I am handing in my manuscript next week, second week in November, but it's all finished. Putting little touches on it here and there. It's very exciting. We have baby Sag on the way, 12/12. The Life Wizard and I are moving. I'm like, what else? What else can we do all at once here? When it rains, it pours. So sometimes, word of caution, everything you manifest happens all at once. And that's, again, why we tend to our nervous system so we can have the capacity to hold all of this change and receive it. So if you're going through something big, or if you're getting like pings or downloads, I would say this all the time, but especially during Scorpio season, especially this Scorpio season, 2024, nothing is an accident. Nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is random, so to speak. So you might have some messages coming through, right? The veil is thin from the other realms, and they might be nudging you, or nay, even pushing you into an exciting new reality. And we're going to trust that. We're going to listen to it. So today's episode, we're going to talk about, if astrology isn't real, of course, we're going to talk about the moon, as always, Mama Moon. We love her. And there's a few transits happening this week, but I really want to focus on the new moon in Scorpio. It comes right after Halloween, right after Samhain. It's on 11/1, so we love that numerology for us. And it's this really watery time right now in the sky, which, yes, is emotional. Yes, might feel tiring, but it also feels really potent for healing and magic. So I'm going to walk you through what this new moon means for us spiritually. And then, of course, if you're a member of Cosmic RX Plus Premium, you can go check out over there. I'm going to do a bonus podcast episode with a reading for your sign. I'm going to do an astrological reading, and then I'm going to do a channeled message. For those of you who work with me in a container one-on-one for a long extended period of time, know that I get a lot of visuals from my spirit guides. So I'm doing a practice over there on Cosmic RX Plus Premium where I'm doing a little channeled image for the sign in addition to the normal astrological reading, because I thought, why not? It's fun. Jordy's birthday is coming up. Well, everyone should just get an extra gift, right? So go check that out. Virgo announcements before we dive in. The Notes from Your Higher Self, the Oracle deck that I made with Audrey through Cosmic RX, is available right now for a pre-sale. We run this in limited edition runs. Everything is, made here in the USA. We are very mindful about how every deck goes out. They're blessed, they're charged. Audrey just designed a gorgeous new packaging, a new box for it. I believe the first, supplies last. If you order, you also get handmade energy spray that we make with it. This deck is great whether you have a million decks or if you're new. There's not a lot of interpretation. It's very straightforward. I always say it's like a text message from your higher self. And this is a big deck. It's big deck energy. I know a lot of decks have maybe 78 cards. This has 99 because from listening here, I always got a lot to say. My guides got a lot to say. And truly the cards are the messages that have come to me or came through me in moments when I most needed them. And it's been such a fun practice to see all of you use this deck. And I get so many messages like this deck never misses. It slaps. It's great to pull a card a day, or if you do healing work, to pull cards for your clients. And this is one of those decks that's, again, very newbie. It's very beginner friendly, and it's also really friendly, I find, for muggles or straight men or whoever you might come across. We've had a lot of great feedback from people who have come to our events or are partners of our Cosmic Baddies. So if you want that, we only do limited runs a few times a year. So if you want to get in on that, sign up. We'll put the link in bio here. You could have that pre-order, and then everything will be shipped on or before December 15th. And it just makes me happy to have these little notes from your higher self running out in the wild with all of you baddies and supporting you and having you work your magic with them. Okay, if astrology isn't real, oh my God, so much, there's always so much we could talk about. But you know what? I'm going to do something to uplift us, something for the people today. Former New York City mayor and Trump sidekick lackey. I don't know if anybody saw this, but maybe we want to cue Siri, Alexa, play Taylor Swift Karma. It was announced, when was this? Tuesday, October 22nd, that Rudy Giuliani was ordered to turn over his New York City apartment and all of his valuables, except for his grandpa's watch, to the former Georgia election workers that he defamed. He ended up owing them over $146 million. And this went to a mother and daughter duo from Georgia, Ruby Freeman and her daughter. I think she goes by Shay Moss. Essentially, he repeatedly defamed them and accused them of election fraud. You could look into it. There's a lot of unfounded claims against them. And they said they did nothing wrong. Investigation by Georgia State Election Board confirmed that. And he still didn't back off the claims. And then the women said this led to harassment, racist. They're both women of color, violent death threats. They had to leave their job. So a judge decided that he was officially liable for defaming the pair, and he couldn't pay them what he owed them in cash. So he literally has to give them everything, I think, except for, again, his grandpa's watch and maybe some other things that were gifted to him, some World Series rings. Now, why do we love this? One, I feel like we all need a story of a win right now. We all need some stories of it feels very Pluto and Aquarius, right? We're so used to, I feel the big guy, the well-connected, blah, blah, blah man prevailing. And so this is just a fun story in that way. But also, there's some interesting things happening in Rudy's chart for sure. One of them that is of note is that Pluto is conjunct his south node of karma and releasing karma, and very close to his north node, but in his 10th house of public image and career, Mars and Cancer were there conjunct the day this came out. And we know that Cancer is a sign of the woman, the feminine. The 10th house is your house of public image, reputation. We've seen so many celebrities and political figures have something be brought up in the headlines when the moon is in their 10th house. I've definitely noticed that after doing this segment on the podcast for years. And of course, Mars there is the fighting back. Cancer is a sign of the feminine. And so I love that. And also Jupiter is approaching a conjunction with his Saturn, which really amplifies and illuminates, again, Saturn, karma, being called to task, take responsibility for your actions. So we love that. We love that. We're just very interested to see, again, something where the everyday person wins and prevails, and that is not always the case. And of course, we are sorry that these women had to go through this, but just hoping this is a taste for just some of the, what Pluto Aquarius is going to bring is some of these longer arcs of justice. They don't always happen overnight, right? And we're keeping that in mind. I'm looking at you, Elon Musk. I'm looking at a few of these guys who I think are going to be called to task for some of the things they're doing right now down the road. And, as always, slide into my DMs, the Cosmic RX, especially with your stories, with what are you seeing if astrology isn't real, and especially, if it's something that gives us a little boost of positivity. I think we could all agree we wouldn't mind that right now. We wouldn't hate that. So let's talk about the moon. Let's talk about what's going on with her, with Mama Moon, how maybe we feel coming up on these days. How can we work with this energy to stay centered, to stay in our emotional groundedness? Okay, so for the day this podcast comes out on the 28th, on Monday, we have a Virgo moon. And so on Virgo moon days, we want to honor that we're really focused on the practical side of life, the details. We might also be wanting to get something in order, declutter, to take care of ourselves. I know last month's Virgo moon day, I kind of cleared my schedule and just ended up doing a deep clean in my apartment, getting some healthy groceries, doing some meal prep. And I have been feeling a little out of sorts leading up to that. And it's just amazing how that Virgo moon energy, when you take advantage of it, can really ground you, right? And we also want to just be aware of, on those days, Virgo moon can make us more picky, right? More overly analytical, more controlling, definitely harder on ourselves. So we just want to remind ourselves, if we get into some of that negative thought patterns, how can we get out of that? How can we see everything that we've already done instead of everything we have to do? I always find that's a good shift to have on those Virgo moon days. And then on the 29th at 12:29 a.m., early Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, the moon moves into Libra, and that will stay there through the 30th to the 31st, Halloween, 1:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when the moon goes through Libra, we're feeling again, we want everything to be pretty, we want everything to get along. This is a great time. Oh my God, I imagine everyone getting dressed up and being so cute in your costumes. We're feeling more social. This is buzzy. And relationships are usually brought to focus in some way, shape, or form, brought to the center of our heart and our mind. And so, we're not usually feeling super assertive these days. And it's hard to make a decision. So if you have a big decision to make and you don't have to do it in these days, all the best. If you do, then just practice, tuning in, being assertive, speaking your truth, seeing what's really in alignment for you. But I love this for our Halloween energy. And then, of course, to really make it a spooky season Halloween, we have the moon moving into Scorpio at 1:29 p.m. Eastern Time. And with the moon moving into Scorpio, it'll stay there through the new moon on 11/1. That's at 8:46 a.m. on, what is that? That's Friday. Ooh, a Freaky Friday. And it'll stay there through the 2nd. So Scorpio new moon, I'm going to talk about it, during the planetary planning, but in general, for Scorpio moon time, we're feeling intense emotionally. We're craving passion and depth. I love this. I think we're all going to be feeling a little extra witchy, extra intuitive, extra in that place of knowing. We might be even feeling oozing a little of that sexuality these days. And so we're just going to look out for feeling jealous or paranoid or getting too lost in the sauce, in the ocean. I was talking with one of my amazing mentees, Whitney, this week about the opposite of Scorpio is Taurus. So it's how do we keep our 10 toes back on the earth, stay a little bit here in the here and now, connect to nature if the Scorpio waters are pulling us too deep. And then we round out the weekend with just a Sag moon Sunday, 1:19 a.m. early in that morning. So Sunday, it's Sag moon energy. We're feeling hopeful. We're feeling optimistic. We're feeling positive. It might be a little bit of a contrast to the rest of the weekend. And maybe we're ready to kind of expand our consciousness in some way. Maybe we're feeling like we want to do something that makes us feel free or makes us feel like something a little different than out of our normal routine. So I love that for a Sunday. It's also a very active moon. So if you want to go take like a spin class or go for a long hike, it feels good to have like, you get the blood pumping, the heart racing, and fresh air, especially, even all the better. It's lighthearted. So see if we can seek some laughter medicine. Sometimes the things to look out for on a Sag moon day is this we can be almost like blurting things out and talking before we really totally know what we're saying. So we just want to like make sure that we're trying to think and pause before we speak. Okay. Just something, again, I'm like laughing. I've had some Sag moon days where I'm like blurted some things out and I'm like, I wish I could just delete, Command Z, undo that. So learn from my mistakes. And now let's talk about the new moon in Scorpio. Okay, so let's talk about, there's a few things happening this week. So let's get the cosmic calendars out just so we can note it all. November 1st is the biggie, right? Scorpio new moon goes down at 8:47 a.m. There's a lot going on with this new moon, so I'm going to get to that in a second. And then right after the new moon, Mercury moves into Sagittarius, but Mercury is in Scorpio for the new moon, which shows you, hint, 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 that we're going to be getting some big intuitive downloads, right? But Mercury move into Sag. And then November 3rd, we have this Mars-Pluto opposition, which is like so, oh my God, it just feels so interesting coming up to the election. It's like Mars in Cancer opposite Pluto in Capricorn. And it literally feels like the fighting for the feminine against the old patriarchy. These are very volatile planets. And again, they were part of the Aries full moon that we just experienced. So there's that. And there's also a Venus-Jupiter opposition, which I do love in terms of love and money and some beautiful blessings coming through. And then on that same day, November 3rd, Mars moves into Leo. And we are having, this whole fall into the spring is a big study in Mars in Cancer, Mars in Leo. So if you have your Mars in Cancer and Mars in Leo, this is a very significant few months for you. A lot of forward motion, learning a lot about your energy, learning a lot about what's important to you, your drive, anger, frustration, where you're ready to do some things differently. And for all of us, no matter what, where we have Cancer and Leo in our chart, we are going to experience a lot of forward momentum and then some backtracking. And we're just going to be making a lot of moves in these parts of our chart. So we have this November 3rd, Mars in Leo. And to mark your calendars, Mars is going to go retrograde December 6th. And it'll stay there until February 23rd, 2025 in Leo and Cancer. So it's just going to be, again, we've talked about it before, but there's a lot of retrograde energy at the end of the year. With even next week on November 7th, we will get into the pre-retrograde shadow of Mercury retrograde. So what does this mean for us? Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about like this winter era, or I don't know what they're calling it, like October. It's like this thing on TikTok, essentially, where people are saying, like, take the last 3 months of the year to go into hiding, emerge as someone new in the new year. I love anytime some people are just like, let's cut out the bullshit. Let's focus on ourselves. Let's go within. And TBH, I like this, but not for November. November is a Mars and Leo time, and there's still a lot of outward energy. At the end of November, we have Mercury goes retrograde, then December 6th, Mars goes retrograde. And I do think December, Jan, February are going to feel like that a little bit into March. And we also know, like, December, it's a little harder to go completely within. It's the holiday season, right? We're wrapping stuff up at work. We're traveling. We're seeing friends. So just putting it out there. But in terms of working on yourself, shedding, owning a new skin, this is, the big headline, like I said, is November 1st, this beautiful new moon in Scorpio. So this is the time of year where it's at 9 degrees. So you can look at where you have 9 degrees of Scorpio in your chart. No matter where you have it, there's scorpionic themes are going to be present for us. A new chapter for the ways we invest ourselves and our energy and our money, themes around intimacy. Scorpio new moon is very much sex, money, magic themes. It's transformation. It's owning our power. And it's going deeper with ourselves. So for all of us, we're going to be feeling opportunities to do that, to dive a little deeper. And something I've been talking about a lot, especially because we have probably one of the most beautiful Octobers I can ever remember, at least here in New York. It's been like golden sunshine every day. And I feel like it's this message that I keep getting of like, don't forget that Scorpio season is about gold too. We talk about Scorpio as the alchemist. And the alchemist is the one who takes, right, like lead and turns it into gold. And if we talk about this from a spiritual standpoint, it's like, what's lead? What's the thing that's heavy? What's the heaviness we carry? The heaviness that just happens. It's part of our story. It's life. To be human is to accumulate heaviness in some kind of way, right? But then it's like, okay, what's the process that we can take this now and then turn it, with our chemistry, our process, our knowing, our transmutation? How do we turn this into gold, into something that's so valuable, right? So potent. And I also think about, Carl Jung talked about in doing shadow work, that one of the reasons we do shadow work is to reclaim our golden shadow, the part of us that holds so much value, so much magic and tenderness and extra presence and power and joy. That shadow work isn't just about like looking what's wrong at us and trying to heal it. It's like, no, it's to reconnect with the golden part of us. So I want you to think about that under the Scorpio new moon. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the astrology, but also the spirituality that's really supporting us in doing this in a really significant way this year in particular. Now, this year, this new moon is really important. It's standing out to me for a few reasons. The date is 11/1. Last year, the Scorpio new moon was 11/11. So we've had some very interesting numerology. 11 ones are these number of alignment. We all know that like repeating numbers, seeing 11/11 is a powerful sign that like you're on the right path to keep going, to step into alignment. And I always think about them as like these channels of energy, like those like mnemonic tubes they used to have in the bank. And like they'd put the tubes up and you receive the tubes down. And I think of 11/1 and 11/11 as these tubes of like staying in alignment and really getting like easier access to put messages and requests and prayers up, and then to receive down wisdom, intuitive hits and gifts. So we have 11/1 is one thing that I'm just noting right away about this new moon. And this new moon is coming right after Halloween, right after Dia de los Muertos, right after Samhain. And it's this time of year where we can see across many cultures that we value and we honor that like the veil is very thin, so to speak. Like there's a lot of support and extra, again, like the frequency, the connection is very clear to the other side, especially with our benevolent ancestors. So in our Luniverse subscription, we have a little ritual you can do for Samhain, or if you have your own way of connecting to your ancestors, or just knowing that whatever this big maybe healing you're doing under this 11/1 Scorpio new moon, whatever skin you're ready to shed, whatever thing you're ready to call in next, you have support behind you. It's bigger than you. You have so much at your back. So really leaning into that. And then astrologically, there is so much, again, rebirth. There's such a bigger story unfolding that we can't even really comprehend it. It's like so massive right now. This 2025 we're to enter. It's such a big turning point for us. This new moon is forming what we call a kite in astrology. And it's Mars is in Cancer is trying to Neptune in Pisces. And then Mars in Cancer is trying to Mercury in Scorpio, all this water sign energy. And then it's tied, like the string of the kite is to Pluto in Capricorn. And this is our last few weeks and days of Pluto in Capricorn. we're entering such high-powered change, a new era. The old is really being dismantled, disempowered, really demolished. And it's happening on hidden levels, like very Pluto. Some things we could see, but some things are so deep. It's like a subterranean explosion. We won't feel it on the surface, maybe for a few months or years. But the planet is shifting. And, especially with this Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Capricorn, right? It's such like feminine, masculine, this like standoff. And it's also interesting because, as a lot of you know, Mars and Cancer are the traditional and then the modern ruler of Scorpio. So usually to understand a new moon more, we look at the ruling planet of the new moon. And in this case, we look at both Mars and Pluto, and I'm like, oh my God, they're in a standoff, right? There's a deep purge happening. There's so much water. There's so much intuitive magic healing coming to us. And then there is a trine being made with Saturn and Pisces too, and that's helping ground us. Again, keeping the 10 toes on the earth, helping to pace ourselves, helping us to, I think, actually really put a lot of these changes into effect towards our personal goals and towards self-mastery for sure. And there might be an opportunity, as always, with the Scorpio energy to like shed, to rid ourselves of something that's not serving us, that feels like psychic clutter, junk, something we're outgrowing. So we're paying attention to that. But yeah, there's going to be lots of cleansing, healing, manifestation potential, lots of intuitive downloads under this new moon. Some of the things we might also feel that might feel a bit more tricky and sticky is there's a lot of water. So we might be feeling a little waterlogged. We might be feeling a little heavy. We might be feeling very emotional. We might just be feeling tired, right? I mean, obviously, like, I'm like, yes, I am going to be feeling tired for this new moon. I'm like a million weeks pregnant, it feels like. But just as a heads up, and we also might be getting information that we don't know what to do with yet. And that's okay if it doesn't make sense yet. That's totally fine. So again, I'm going to be doing the sign-by-sign readings and messages on Cosmic RX Plus Premium if you want to go a little deeper. But this is a new moon to really own your power, work your magic, trust your magic, protect your magic. And of course, see like what's that thing that's been feeling that's been feeling like heavy around your neck, and is there an opportunity to transform, to transmute it into gold under this sexy, sensual, seductive Scorpio new moon? So, my baddies, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. I invite you to really trust the process with all this water, to lean on your inner knowing. And of course, I will be sending you blessings upon blessings for big fat checks and hot juicy sex, and so much love. Until next week. Mwah. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.